So welcome, 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 Lashonda. It is such an honor and privilege to have you here today. This is a topic that really touches home for me. We're going to be talking about mental health today, something that people would not, you know, naturally connect with interior design, but we will explore how you can create a space that is nurturing and can have a positive benefit, not on just your physical, space, but your mental space as well. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
But before we go any further, I always ask this question, and I don't want to break protocol. Although these aren't naturally together, luxury and mental health, I don't know. I still would love to know your opinion, Lashonda, of what is luxury? What is luxury to you?
Oh my gosh, luxury. That's a great question. Luxury, it to me, is living the lifestyle that you've always dreamed of. And so that could mean, if luxury is travel, if luxury is like you're talking about creating environments where I am comfortable and that I feel, like I'm, you know, in my space and in my place in my palace in a sense,
Awesome.
I think that creating that lifestyle is luxury, and I think it's defined individually. I don't think that each person, like, there's not a generalization that says this is luxury. I believe that luxury is defined by your own, personal preference.
I love it. I agree
Yeah.
100%. For me, luxury means things are exactly as they are supposed to be, as they're meant to
Mhm.
be, as it relates to my space, as it relates to me working out, making the time, the luxury of
Yes,
time, you know?
absolutely, absolutely.
And so I love how you say it definitely is personal. And we give our clients that in ways that they never knew existed as part of our
Mm.
tagline. So, luxury and mental health. Not really a good segue there. However, we also talk about the fact that we create sacred spaces. And I absolutely know that that totally flows together in the sense that when you have a space that is meant to be calming, that is meant to be productive, that is meant to be nurturing. I'm thinking of bedrooms versus offices versus kitchens. We
Right.
set aside those spaces for those purposes in the way that we design. And we look at different things and different modalities that the person can experience that room and how that can support them. So when we're talking about someone that may be suffering from mental health, whether it's a chemical imbalance or a mood disorder. Can you imagine some of the ways that interior design or your environment can help support a healthy you?
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, your home is your palace, right? And so if I'm in my palace and my palace is chaotic, it's not kept clean, or if I have even toxic people around, that can definitely affect or trigger my mood disorder, right? And
Mhm.
so I need to be able to make sure that I have a relaxing environment, that I'm creating a space where I'm not being triggered, that where I can have peace in my home or in my palace, and whether that's me even just driving in the car, listening to music, or like the coworkers that I interact with at the office. Whatever that environment is, it needs to be conducive
Yeah,
to protect, in the sense of boundaries, if that makes sense, to protect my space, protect my peace,
absolutely.
and give me the greater opportunity to have optimal success. It's hard enough. Life is, I guess, outside of your home or outside of where you work. It's hard enough, but to come to an environment where you don't have peace can definitely make it even the more challenging.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It definitely crosses a lot of different areas, we talk about relational peace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Peace within ourselves, peace in our environment that's represented in a physical way, whether that's visually or maybe even sound. We talk about designing to our senses in KDG. And so we look at ways that people experience the world, whether it's, say, their top two sensory responses are auditory, and most of us are sight. How can
Mm-hmm.
we relay peace through those modalities? So it could
Wow.
be running water, it could be a water,
Mm-hmm.
feature, small or large. We've done both. It could be beautiful art, or
Yeah,
connecting with nature in the form of greenery in our home. So there's small
that's
ways,
awesome.
but together they can be very
Mhm.
impactful in creating these environments that are more conducive to having a positive mental health. And
Absolutely.
it has touched me personally, mental health. I think it does most of us, if not all of us, in some form or fashion, whether it's an individual experience or a family member who's going
Mhm.
through some challenges. What has led you down this path? What can you share with us that you're like, oh, this is what I must do in my life?
Mm. That's a great question as well. If I can, before I answer that question, what you were talking about, it reminds me of a tool that we use in therapy, which is called visualization.
Okay.
Where you're able to almost create a space in your mind where you can escape, because our mind is so powerful. And
Yeah.
so what you're saying is that, appealing to those senses helps you to engage the level of visualization to where you can kind of have that escape, whether that is a forest or a beach or whatever the case may be, that can help you to have that, environment within your home.
Yes.
And so that's what you're creating for people. I guess more like in vivo, we would say. So that's really great.
Yeah.
But to answer your question about how I arrived to and how I knew that this was something that I needed to do, um, um, back when, I guess, gosh, I was 17 when I graduated high school, and I
Okay.
was trying to explore and discover myself. Like back then, it's like you needed to know exactly what you're going to do for the rest of your life, type of thing. And I had, come to this place where I asked my grandmother, like, what do you think I should do? Because I had no idea. Like I said, I was 17 years old, had no clue. And she's like, I think you should be a therapist or a counselor. I was like, Grandma, I don't make very much money. I'm not doing that. Right. And so I went along on my little journey trying to figure it out and changed my major several times and ended up, majoring in management information systems and finance, and never used a degree a day in my life. And then I got to a place where I was working in a call center for several years for an insurance company. And I realized that I had more to offer the world than just working there. And so I, kind of self-reflected, and my childhood wasn't born with a silver spoon or any of those types of things, and had quite a bit of trauma as far as child sexual abuse and neglect and different things of that nature. Both of my parents were teenagers when they had me. And so to even get to college, I remember even researching when I was probably in middle school, that I'm a person that was born into that type of environment, that lifestyle. I was either supposed to be a prostitute, a drug dealer, or a drug addict, because both of my parents dealt with addiction, a drug addict myself, or in prison. All of these different things that the statistics were just up against me.
Yeah.
And so to look up and see that I was actually I made it through college and got to school and different things of that nature was a blessing in and of itself. And so, like I said, I felt like I had more to offer. So I ended up fulfilling my grandmother's prophecy and going back to school, and decided to become a therapist. I was so glad that I took the time to really resonate with it. It's definitely more of a passion and part of my purpose, a calling now, than just a career path, which is what it would have definitely been if I would have explored it at the age of 17.
Got it.
But it
That's a
just
great
is so
point.
rewarding to see other, people be able to overcome, certain life situations that just definitely seem like they're insurmountable, or that you're incapable of coming through on the other side of.
Yeah.
And so I'm just grateful to be in this space, in this place where I can reach out to my community because I get the opportunity to speak at different events or and shed light or educate in different ways as well. And so it's just been a blessing. It really
Yeah.
has.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's so, so, so needed. Many of our communities will, sweep mental health under the rug or, just ignore it altogether. And it's detrimental because some of these things, I'm guessing, you correct me if I'm wrong,
Mhm.
all of them need addressing, and the earlier the better results that we can have and come to the other side of the illness or even just managing it from day to day. Early detection is crucial.
Absolutely, absolutely. Being able to recognize a lot of things that we deal with the mental health can sometimes just be either a learned behavior or something that we have inherited generationally from our parents or our grandparents. And so, yes, you're right. We can spend a lifetime for some of us. At 30, in our 30s, having the same thought processes
Yeah.
that our family, our mother, our grandparents had, and end up in the same type of predicament or situations if we don't start doing something to start, changing and doing something better for ourselves.
Yeah.
So yes, you're right. The earlier, the better.
Right. Right.
Absolutely.
And what an age we're in. Such a blessing that these, different apps for mental health,
Hmm.
connecting with a counselor, a therapist, that our children have that we didn't have. Actually, just
Right.
literally had a therapy session this morning,
Okay.
which is my,
Awesome. Good for
we call
you.
it coaching, but it's therapy. She's a licensed therapist,
Okay.
and
Well,
does
that's good.
gosh, neuro, I'm totally forgetting her title. I hope to have her as a guest. She's awesome. But just helping you understand your brain pathways and how
Hmm.
your precordial, cortex, all that stuff, how it all
Hmm.
works together, and helping you reframe. And we were discussing how, gosh, what a blessing that, our children can mature and grow faster because you have 50-year-old adults, 60-year-old adults. I was just marveling at how, why am I still having this conversation with myself? I'm 50 years old, And
Mm.
she's like, because now you're taking the time to actually deal with it, you're
Yeah.
humbling yourself, you're getting the help, and you're moving forward instead of just saying, oh, well, that's how I am,
Hmm. Hmm.
I'll just deal with it, or whoever
Right.
has to deal with it because it's not
Hmm.
us
Hmm.
that deals with some of our craziness. I say we all have our own brand of
Absolutely.
crazy. Uh, but yes, what a blessing that our children can start earlier and in life and achieve some relief and some coping skills and some healing before
Absolutely.
getting to a late age or big age where you're wondering, why am I still going through this? Why am I still
Right.
suffering from this? So yes, totally off topic.
Oh, no, I
But
think it definitely is good that you are in
uh,
therapy and
yeah,
getting
yeah.
your yeah,
I
getting
think
getting your p
this new season is what is part of what prompted it. Just being in a new city and creating new friendships. I have friendships that are lifelong, but now I'm in a new town and I'm creating friends without the crutch of my children having sports activities and school
Mm,
activities.
mhm,
So it's been quite different. It has definitely been different, but I do feel I'm feeling more of myself now that my home is coming together and it feels like
mhm,
us. It feels like us as a couple, as empty
mhm.
nesters. And I'm like, wow, like you're right. That luxury is the dream. It's the fulfillment of the dream in some ways, of seeing
Absolutely.
what was possible and getting there and getting to enjoy it. So yeah, mental health and our environment, I think, go together more than we want to give it credit for. In our environment, it doesn't mean that it has to be, like you said, uber expensive or as anyone else's standard. It's our own standard and what will support our own growth. So, tell me, what are some of the things that you have experienced so far as identifying, saying, "Hey, client, think about this. Would it be a messy car, or I mean, I don't know. I'm just reaching now."
Um, I'm sorry, I'm trying to make sure I understand your question.
Sure, sure.
So
So
are you
let me rephrase it. Have you had an experience with clients where you've recommended or noticed this thing might help you, and it was something in their physical environment that needed to be altered to support them better?
okay. I do mostly virtual
Okay.
sessions, and so I'm not necessarily in their environment, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
So I do have questions that, I can generally, go through a checklist of things that they may want to do to spruce up. Again, making sure that they're decluttering their area and different things of that nature, or creating, that space where they need to have, like a zen area, or some people may refer to it like a prayer closet, or some
Okay.
place where you can kind of escape within your home.
Right.
Because I do work, I have a lot of single mothers that I work with, and so sometimes they don't feel that they have a space that they can call their own, or a place that they can call their own, and that may be, I guess, more or less what you're speaking to in
Mhm.
regards to that, to where you could just say, okay, well, this is my space, my area, and this is where I decompress. This is where I de-stress, at the end of my day, so that I
Yes.
can, be ready for the next thing, or journal, or wherever it is that I may need to do to help myself, cope with being a single mom,
Right.
or,
Right.
in yeah, life,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. So yeah,
That makes me
absolutely.
think of the fact that, I often say that your physical surroundings are oftentimes a reflection of who you are on the inside. So, or
Mm,
what's going on with you on the inside. And so, clutter can be an indication that you feel disorganized, or you feel overwhelmed or overloaded. Um,
mhm,
and so, yes, I would love to dive into the conversation about um, not necessarily hoarding, but just like you were mentioning, clutter. How
mhm,
that is not only, it's like a downward spiral, right?
mhm, mhm,
You feel bad about your space, and then you do more things to make the space bad. If that makes sense. And
mhm.
have you seen that, or do you have any experience with that with anyone? And I know
Well,
you can't talk about clients. I mean,
Well, yeah, just
but
generally speaking,
stories,
though.
right?
Yeah, generally speaking, though, just creating those habits where your environment is conducive for you to have optimal success. And so, again, that could look like work. It can also look like home, or like you talked about earlier, your car, right?
Mhm.
If I'm not in a healthy space, and I've got all of this stuff that's just constantly, I'm around, just clutter and junk, and it can just really create this, almost, for people that have anxiety, or people that have OCD. I mean, and all of those different things, they could just create more,
Right,
anxiety, more OCD, or even depression.
right.
If my environment is not, kept in a, I guess, orderly fashion,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah,
So yeah, that can definitely have a greater impact or effect on someone.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's something that I think represents, the emotions that are stirring, or challenges that you're having to overcome in a physical way. I think too, though, that we can take control of those situations. It might be almost like going upward hill battle, because it's like, I feel bad, so I don't want to do this, but I know if I do this, I might feel a little better. And so sometimes it's
Mhm,
just in starting, right? Just
mhm,
taking that first step, that can help alleviate some of that stress and pressure and clutter.
mhm.
But I also think about just the simple thing of lighting a candle or putting on some positive music. How can
Absolutely.
that help your mindset?
Mhm, mhm. Absolutely. So yeah, again, just that decompression. What is creating a new habit or routine that can help you? And a lot of times, like we were talking about, is that people, a lot of lack the motivation to get started, to do the thing that is going to help me. And we oftentimes find that being somewhat, of course, problematic, right?
Mhm.
But what do I need to do to start a new habit if I'm creating clutter in my environment, if I'm creating and I notice that, I don't really have the motivation to declutter or to create a place or a space where I feel more peace,
Mhm.
then how do I get motivated?
Yeah.
A lot of times, what I've learned is being able to show my clients that you can start by, what we call coupling or pairing. And so, if
Okay.
there's a habit in my routine that I have, then
Uh-huh.
if I want to start, journaling or lighting a candle or listening to more music, then I may couple that with something that I'm already routinely doing. For
Oh.
instance, if I know every morning that I get up and have breakfast and, drink a cup of coffee, well, that can signal me if I want to be more motivated to do something else, like, um, clean my room.
Mhm.
Then after my cup of coffee or as I'm having my cup of coffee, I am, folding my laundry. That is something that we
Ah.
couple with, to create a new habit. And so,
Ooh.
it can work the same way with, listening, like you said, listen to music or lighting a candle or something like that as well.
Okay, I love that coupling. I hadn't heard of that. I am
I think
going
people call
to
it coupling, pairing.
try.
There's probably different, ways to
Okay.
say it, but yeah.
Okay. I mean, it makes so much sense though, because you already have this one habit that you're doing,
Mhm. Mhm.
and there's something new that you want to start doing, and you put those together. It's like a positive trigger, like, oh,
Absolutely.
I've got my cup of coffee for the morning, let me go make up my bed and put
Mhm.
things away and
Mhm.
finish out my coffee. I love that. I
Yeah.
think that's a
Yeah.
really practical way to be intentional about the things that we're doing and how we're creating our spaces. So I love that. um Gosh, I had another question for you too, though. Ooh, I lost it. I'm sorry, editors. Y'all are
That's
gonna really chop this
okay.
one up. Oh my goodness. But I have one recording from today that there's no edits needed. It's like, oh, that was perfect.
Really? Oh,
But hey, we
wow.
can be imperfect all day long, right? There's
It's
no such thing.
okay.
But God, you made me think of something when you were saying, the coupling, starting a new habit, starting a new routine. That was awesome. That's how what I got sidetracked, not sidetracked, but like coupling. I
Mhm.
start thinking, have I heard that before? I need to start doing that. That's a very practical way to look at it. Um, Gosh, it left me. It might come back, but
It's
it
okay.
just, along the lines of, um, caring for ourselves. There it is.
Mm.
Okay, here we go.
Mm.
Back on.
Mhm.
Let me start from a dead stop. I have noticed a trend of us talking about self-care and
Mm.
women's self-care, especially because we are the ones that serve everyone else before we'll serve ourselves, and find
Right.
ourselves to the point of exhaustion and not being motivated to do something nice for ourselves. Have you seen that affect your practice? Has it been a positive message that is catching on, that yes, we need self-care, we need self-love? I am imagining that when you're in a cloud or you're in a funk or you have a chemical imbalance, it might not resonate with you that you need self-care, self-love, because at the moment you're not really loving yourself. So how have you seen that happening with in your practice?
Yeah. I can definitely attest to the I guess almost like the buzzword of self-care being
Mhm.
something that is more frequently discussed amongst my clients. And so
Mhm.
that is helpful.
Okay.
One of the things that I've also wanted to impress upon clients is that it it's so much greater than
Mhm.
just, keeping my nails done or going to get a pedicure, you know what I
Wow.
mean? Like,
Absolutely.
being able to, like you said, have a deeper level of compassion for myself, or love, or nurturing, comes from being in relationship with myself and being able to be alone with myself enough to see myself, you know,
Yeah.
and to validate who I am as a person and as an individual. And so those are some of the things. In fact, I just recently finished up a challenge, a self love challenge
Oh, yeah.
for women, and that was pretty awesome. We got an opportunity to do it over 3 days, and just touching on a lot of those different tips and tools and things that we should watch out for, like comparing and competing and
Yeah.
complaining. Those are the
Right.
3 C's that kind of prevent us from being able to really self love
Let's
or see
repeat that.
ourselves.
Let's repeat that. I think that's
Yeah.
definitely a nugget. What are the 3 C's that we're doing?
Comparing,
Mhm.
competing, and complaining.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely notice the energy
Hmm.
shift when I see myself in those situations. We've
Hmm.
all done them, but yes, complaining is one of the things that I personally am focused on reducing in my life, or, from myself, from my team,
Hmm.
my family. Like, let's focus on the things we can't control, and work to make the things that we can't control better, not just complain about
Right.
it, but actually do the work to improve it. So
Absolutely.
yeah, complaining is a harsh one. That's a, I don't know, but comparing, I learned early
Mhm.
on that comparison is the thief of joy. So I'm
Absolutely.
thankful that
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can easily get myself out of comparison mode. And
Hmm.
then competing. Wow,
Mm.
competing. I'm a
Mhm.
natural
Mhm.
competitor. Like, I ran track. So I'm a
Mhm.
competitive person, especially board games.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, but I'm taking it in the sense that you mean with other people, like at work or in industry,
Mhm.
or maybe even your partner. I know that some couples compete, they vie for attention.
Yes,
And
it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
definitely our children will compete for our attention, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So what are some ways to get out of that rut?
Yeah. So instead of comparing or competing, or if you notice yourself doing that, I've noticed that, being able to give a compliment is a healthier way. So if you see
Oh,
someone that you're like, oh, she's so skinny, or her hair is so, da, da, than mine, or whatever, and I know that's kind of superficial. And of course, we would take it on a deeper level, but then offer a compliment, you
okay.
know? A compliment goes a long way for someone. So being able to just get over that, it helps you to push past, the comparison that you're making with yourself and someone else. But offer that person a compliment, and then give yourself at least 3 compliments
Okay.
that are
Oh,
not even, because I think that helps us to, like you talk about your self love or your self care, be
mhm.
able to boost your confidence and and look inwardly a little bit, even to see whether some things maybe reflectively throughout the day that I did that I did well,
Mhm.
and compliment those things.
That's
And a
good.
lot of times we're always, looking for someone else to give us something that we could be giving ourselves. And so giving
Mm.
giving some compliments is definitely one of those things that will help.
That's awesome. That's a very,
Mhm.
very practical way for self-love, giving ourselves what
Mhm.
we wait oftentimes for other people to give us. And
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. I like that. Okay, you've got me a lot of notes here for my own application. I know that our listeners have made some notes and are enjoying this conversation too. I don't know that I would do an entire podcast series around mental health, but I encourage you to, LaShonda,
Thank you.
because it is so, so, so needed. And while this may not be a topic that our clients look to hear from us, I
Mhm.
am committed to bringing this into the arena because our mental health is so, so, so important. And I think that as designers and architects, we have the ability to help people, manage and not necessarily heal, but like you said, help in that process
Mhm.
of dealing with mental health challenges, whether they are chemical imbalances or disorders. All of it is very important for us to address in these times.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I could not agree with you more.
I thank you so much for being with me today. This has been awesome.
Aw,
And I like to end with a question. And
okay.
my question for you, Lashonda, is what do you do for your own experience of luxury or self-care or self-love?
So, great question again. So I personally love travel. So if I can get away for 3 to 5 days and just love on me, and it could be a solo trip, it's fine. I just enjoy being able to experience new culture and being able to get away, and plan something for myself. For me, that's the ultimate self-love. Like, it seems very, again, practical, like you said, but just being able to do that, it helps me to kind of reset and love on myself a little bit and take some time to reflect and gear up for the next thing that's coming. That's my top tier self-care, self-love.
That's awesome. You're my kind
Mhm.
of lady. I love it. Well, again, thank you so much for being with us today. And we will be sure
Absolute
to put
pleasure.
all of your information in our show notes so that people can reach out to you as they need
Okay,
support and want to connect. So thank you again so
awesome.
much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.